You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
You know, I wish we could find some way to hold people accountable. Free speech is a great idea, but we're in a war.
To make sure the economy doesn't collapse, I've abandoned free market principles to save the free market system.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
You're listening to Common Sense Radio with A.J. Davis on the Lanterns Radio Network.
Welcome back to Common Sense Radio with A.J. Davis on the Lanterns Radio Network. Quick programming note. We are going from Thursdays to Mondays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Standard Pacific. I have a great show lined up for you. First off, we're going to start with the 79th legislative session in Oregon. Boy, it has been something else here in the state of Oregon. A lot to talk about with that, from abortions for all, tax, and sneaky little Senator Jeff Merkley. Also, we will have this week's Keyboard Warrior of the Week, and there's 2 people up for nominations. The last segment, we will go over that, and I can't wait to get that out to them. So, the first thing I wanted to talk about was the 79th legislation session. There was a lot of bills that we need to talk about. First off, SB 719A is a gun-grabbing Second Amendment blocking bill that they have passed. Senate Bill 719A is a anti-Second Amendment bill, and it's something we're going to dive deep into in segment 2. The House Bill 3391, the abortion, what I like to call abortion for all bill. Heck, if you're a rattlesnake, you can get an abortion now in the state of Oregon, from illegal aliens to rattlesnakes. So if anybody wants to come and get an abortion, they're going to move to Oregon. And House Bill 2391, Stabilizing Healthcare Bill, which is what it was, a progressive bill to scare everybody. And also, let's talk about the $5.3 billion transportation bill that my own rep voted for, and quite frankly, it was very disturbing looking at all the details and all the news reports about it, as not only was Governor Kate Brown, but other legislative leaders claiming it a progressive bill, and it was a victory. So I want you to go ahead and take a listen to this clip that I'm going to play here in a few seconds. I find it very troubling, and like it's a game plan for progressives to start with California, Oregon, and Washington, and try to start a progressive utopia around the U.S. But they started in these states first, and they're doing a hell of a job at advancing this progressive utopia. I had a friend that told me that he had some friends that actually were progressive liberals, and that they moved around the country to help spread progressive agendas. I mean, that's deep into it. That's really deep into it. So let's get started. I really want you to take a listen to Governor Kate Brown's interview this past week, and then I want to dissect it after we get done with it. It's a couple minutes, so It's fascinating. Okay, here you go.
Governor, welcome to Straight Talk. Thank you for having us here in your office at the state capitol.
Welcome to the state capitol, and I'm delighted to be back on again.
The legislature just wrapped up after 6 long months, and they did so really with a flourish, doing something a lot of people didn't think they were going to get done this session. Is passed this massive transportation bill, $5.3 billion. How big of a deal is that? What does it mean for the state?
Well, I'm very pleased. We had Republicans, Democrats working together. We started work on this transportation package over 2 years ago. We put together a visioning panel, toured the state, listened to Oregonians, listened to the business community, have put together this package that invests in our roads and bridges, invests in public transit. It is a significant package. It is probably the most comprehensive transportation package we have ever put together, and I'm really proud of the work the legislature did to make it happen.
What grade would you give lawmakers? How do you feel about this session?
I feel really good about this session. I would give the legislature an A. And the reason why I say that is because legislators from both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, were willing to come together around key priorities. Let me give you an example. I came into session saying I wanted to make sure that all of our children in Oregon have access to health care coverage. Just in the last couple of days, we've passed legislation ensuring that every single child in this state will have health care coverage. That's a huge success.
You gave legislators an A for this session, but there are others that would criticize that. They say that this was a good economic year, it was a boom year. And some of the short-term solutions that were passed by the legislators getting some criticism. House Minority Leader Republican Mike McLean said Democrats were unwilling to undertake the major spending reforms needed to improve the state's long-term finance. He called it a session of lost opportunities. And State Senator Democrat Mark Hass has said there's two big things facing the state, and that is tax code and reform there, and the unfunded liabilities of PERS. And legislators didn't successfully tackle either one of those. That sounds like kind of a big fail.
So let me sort of tackle those two separately. We came into the legislative session, as you mentioned, with a $1.8 billion deficit. Because of revenue increases, we've reduced that deficit to $1.4 billion. A huge chunk of that was taken up by our ability to come together around a provider tax to pay for the Oregon Health Plan. We also did some very important things. We tightened our belts in state government. I signed a couple of executive orders putting in place a hiring freeze, making sure we eliminated essential travel, making sure that we kept vacancies open, that saved over $80 million. That's significant. And the legislature just passed a bill that was put together by Republicans and Democrats to further increase cost savings in the neighborhood of several $100 million. So that is significant. When you come into a session with a significant shortfall, the time and energy I spent, frankly, was in dealing with that short-term budget deficit. And that's exactly what we did this session. We balanced our budget, we provided health care for 1 million Oregonians, and we passed a transportation package that's significant.
Wow, wow, wow. I know that was a long clip, but it was full of red meat that I want to tear into. First off, thank goodness the legislature was only in session for 5 months. I can only imagine how much more damage they would have done to Oregon. And the transportation bill was nothing but a gigantic tax hike. They're increasing taxes on new cars. I mean, come on. When are we going to stop taxing? Pass a fair tax or a flat tax, get it over with. But also a 0.1% payroll tax increase, and our gas tax goes up. Yay! Yay! You can tell how happy I am about that. Oregon already is a high state for the price of gas. Can you believe that Governor Brown actually even had the audacity to say that she thinks that the legislator should have got a grade of an A? Oh my gosh. I'm saying an F minus. You talk about the $5.3 billion transportation bill, big government that they pushed through. Talk about, like I said in the beginning, the gun bill, 719A, the abortion bill, the provider tax was what they used to help cover Oregon Health Plan. They were afraid that the illegals were going to get kicked off of that, and there was about 15,000 of them that they needed to get covered, and they were afraid that they were going to get them all kicked off if they didn't pass this provider tax. Well, you know what a provider tax does? A provider tax raises deductibles, it raises prices for premiums, and it comes back to all the people that are paying into the system. She was praising the state government tightening its belt and just saving some money. Well, shouldn't you do that already? I mean, is it kind of weird that we should expect them to already do that? And she was all happy about her executive order on putting a hiring freeze through state government, leaving vacancies open, and eliminating essential travel that is not needed. So you can only travel if you need to. Essential. And she was talking about cost savings by a bill by legislators that came together for $700 million. Well, I'd like to have a little bit more details, and I'm not sure she was actually telling the truth there about what the legislators balanced the budget. It just appears that they're just kicking the can down the road and raising taxes. That's really what the progressives are going all over the news cycle and saying they hail a session of progressive wins, but big budget problems are still there. You have unfunded liabilities just with the public employee retirement system. What are they do? They didn't even touch that this session. But hey, Governor Brown, giving you an A, legislature. One thing I want to do is I'm going to take a quick break right here, and then on the other side of the break, I'm going to dive deep into this transportation bill, and you're going to really enjoy it. You're listening to Common Sense Radio with AJ Davis on the Lanterns Radio Network.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Check out Lumberlax. This is a company started by an 11-year-old Kai Talley. He plays lacrosse, and the money that they profit off of the business, they use to help less fortunate kids that cannot play lacrosse. He partners with nonprofits to give money to kids that physically cannot play the game due to special needs or illness. This is an amazing thing that he is doing, and he is extremely involved in his community. Take a look at the website, lumberlax.com, or email them directly at lumberlax@comcast.net and order a custom shaft for yourself or someone else. They also do coaches gifts, team sticks. They work with people to do fundraisers and so much more. Please check out lumberlax.com, official sponsor of Common Sense Radio with AJ Davis on the Lanterns Radio Network. Welcome back to the program, folks. You're listening to Common Sense Radio with AJ Davis on the Lanterns Radio Network. And as I said before the break, we're going to talk about the transportation bill. But what I'm going to say is not going to be popular because my representative for my county area in the state, Representative Ron Noble, who I voted for. He's a first-term legislature, and I am very disappointed in the work that he has done. I think he might be a progressive. That's in a personal opinion. I hope it's not true, but he voted yes on this transportation bill, and he was interviewed and said that he was not happy with everything in the bill, but he was happy with some of it. My question to you, Representative Noble, and I did ask Representative Noble to come on the podcast. At first, he declined. I responded back with a copy of the vote count and in an email to his chief of staff and said, this seems like a progressive bill, which it is, not seems like, it is, and I would love to get his take on it. You would not believe it. The next day, his chief of staff, Representative Noble would be more than willing to come on your program, but a couple days earlier, he was just too busy with the legislative session. I guess when you question these representatives and you start making accusations that can get out there, I wouldn't even call this an accusation. This is a progressive bill, and he voted for it. So, to me, you do not vote for a bill unless you're 100% in. He says there's some good stuff and some bad stuff he doesn't like. Well, why did you vote for it then? That doesn't make any sense to me. That is the problem with politics right now. It is absolutely infuriating to me that politicians at the state and the federal level are voting for stuff without even reading the bills at the federal level, and at the state, you're voting for it just to play politics. There's no way that he should have voted for it, as his constituents are for the majority of them, they're in the conservative area of the state of Oregon. I mean, to me, why are you not listening to your constituents? And he was praising this bill for getting the pork barrel money down to Yamhill County. They're building the Newburgh-Dundee bypass to nowhere. I mean, they've been working on this thing. I've lived in Oregon for 8 years, and they've been planning, and they've just, within the last year or two, broke ground on it. And my wife has told me, my father-in-law, all my family and friends that live out here have said they've been talking about it for 20 years. It takes you 20 years to plan and build 4 to 8 miles stretch? Are you kidding me? Oh, yeah, I am kidding you. I shouldn't be expecting even more. I mean, we're talking about government. Government. Unbelievable. But one thing he did praise about this bill was the $1.2 million to the statewide budget for bicycle and pedestrian paths. What? We need more bike lanes. I kid you not. There's a back road here in Oregon that I take to get home. It was a back road, and there was 2 to 3 entries and exits. They redid it, have some wildflower extraction area, and I would say it was maybe a quarter mile. No more than a quarter mile. It wasn't very much. But when they rebuilt it, they added bike path to each side of the road. So you got a bike path on each side of this road, and it's for the quarter of a mile, and then it goes to nothing, no bike path, to gravel. I mean, see the inefficiency, the stupidity of government? It just drives me nuts. So, why I wanted to bring up Representative Noble is I contacted the vice county chair for the GOP in my area, and I'm going to read you just the message that I sent to him. I go, hey, do you support Ron Noble as a House rep? I believe he is a progressive. He goes, yes, he's a Republican. I go, he voted yes for the transportation bill, which was a bad policy and very progressive. He also sponsored a Sponsor Schools First budget bill. To me, that's progressive. And his response was, I don't know. He voted no on the abortions and the gun bill. I go, which I agree on as well, but the other two are progressive. That doesn't, just because you vote no for some main ticket items, doesn't mean something like the transportation bill you can just be progressive on. To me, that is just, you just can't do that. No, it's completely progressive, in my opinion. From what I'm reading and seeing in this transportation bill, it's very progressive. So the county chair goes, and a lot of Republicans went that way. There's things in the works on all this. I go, all right. But he voted for it to pass, and I can't support a progressive. He goes, well, there's Democrats to vote for. He said some other representatives had made mistakes in the past. They all need guidance. I go, I told him, I said, I'm not voting for Democrats. I'm not voting for Democrats. I'm not voting for Republicans that are rhinos. I'm just not doing it. I'm not a GOP guy. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not an independent. I'm so sick and tired of the politics that are being played at every level in this country. To me, you do what's right for not only the area that you live in, but for the country, for the state, for your county. And I'm sorry, but at Monday in July, I am gonna say Representative Ron Noble is a progressive, and there's just nothing about it. And I'm gonna tell you why. This transportation bill is nothing but tax after tax after tax. I mean, for the first time in the United States, we have a $15 fee on bicycles that are at least $200. Well, I'm going to tell you what. Right now, I've lived in Oregon for 8 years. Oregon is a huge bicyclist state. I mean, bicyclists are all over the darn road. If there's a bike path or not, bicyclists are everywhere. Great, do whatever you want, but you're gonna start taxing bicyclists. There's no way you're gonna be getting $1.2 million a year in bicycle fees, your $15 fee, to pay for that $1.2 million line item. There's just no way. It's crazy. Well, they're also, you'll love this, folks. You'll love this. You love going to the DMV. I know you do. Each and every one of you do. I absolutely dread it. But they're going to raise 0.5% to titling a vehicle on any new car purchase. Yay. That sounds like common sense, doesn't it? Oh, can't forget the 10-cent raise on gas. And this, in January 2018, it's going to start with 4%, or 4 cents, I'm sorry, excuse me. It's going to start January 2018. The gas tax is already going to go up 4 cents, and then after that, another 2 cents every year till it hits 10 cents. And they think that's going to help? Oh my goodness. Oh, two more things in this transportation bill that really stuck out to me is the 0.1% payroll tax. They were saying, I was reading that they think that 0.1% payroll tax is going to equate to $500 million in this biennium to help fund all this stuff. They are out of their mind. Out of their mind. Tax. What do we do? And I mean, I guess I should. This is sad. You wake up and you can't even recognize your own state. Where have I? That's why I got into with lanterns. Is I have to step up and keep fighting. I have to fight for. Have to fight for it. I cannot stand back and not fight. These taxes are just... The cost of living is already outrageous, not only in Oregon, but across the country. I mean, legislatures are doing this, I believe, all over. I mean, for instance, look at Illinois. I was following that, and it's kind of out of the mainstream media right now. But I could not believe that their legislature came up with a 32% permanent tax hike. I mean, it's coming to Oregon. I know that. I mean, it's coming to California. It's coming with these unfunded liabilities, the budget deficits. The PERS alone is destroying these, and I'm sure PERS is at all the states, the public employee retirement system for the unions. It's bankrupting. That's why the Oregon legislature had to raise its taxes. When they went into this legislative session, they had what was a $1.8 billion deficit, and then they just raised these taxes. That's their solution. Not cut spending, not cut programs, but to slash people's morale. That's all they're doing. I mean, you just can't even believe it. It's also so sad because the legislature, before they got this transportation bill passed, was working behind the scenes to pass behind the voters' back. What was voted down last November was Measure 97, which is a backdoor sales tax for corporations that made $25 million plus a year. And in a lot of places, it didn't have to be just in the state of Oregon, it had to be nationwide. But the ones that operated in the state of Oregon. So the legislature was pushing so hard to get this passed, even though the voters had voted it down in November. And to me, that's like, who the heck do you think you are, Oregon Democratic legislatures? Because in Oregon, you guessed it, yes, the Democrats are in control of the legislature. And they were trying, the voters, it went down at, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I remember it went down strongly. People are already taxed enough. So you pass this transportation bill, and you're raising these taxes on all of us Oregonians, and then you're trying to backdoor us with this Measure 97, and you're trying to push it through government. I am appreciative of how it did not get passed, because more taxes, because the corporations, the businesses are not going to pay it. They're already operating at small margins in Oregon with regulations and taxes. That it's one of those things where the legislator did another great thing. They really want to tax everything out of us. They had what is described as a provider tax on all the health care. Actually, I wouldn't say it's a provider tax. I would describe it as what the three representatives in the legislature are calling it, a sales tax on health care. And with the lead of Representative Julie Parrish, she is from the Westland area, and I'm working on getting her on the podcast. We're going to dig deeper into it in the coming weeks about this, because she started a referendum, which she only needs 59,000 signatures by October 1st, 2017, from Oregonians who want to stop this $550 million tax increase that is being put onto hospitals, doctors, to help the out-of-control government that we have. What the referendum is going to do is it's going to take it to the voters and put it up for a vote. And I can guarantee if Measure 97 went down, this one's going to go down 100%. So I'm signing this referendum, and I encourage you to check out StopHealthcareTaxes.com. It's about House Bill 2391, and it's going to go down. I'm going to tweet out the website. I encourage anyone that's listening that lives in the state of Oregon to sign this referendum. We have got to stop some of the taxes. And the funny thing about this, well, should I say it's funny? Yeah, you know what? It is kind of comical because this referendum gets passed and they get the 59,000 signatures that they need. It puts a hole in the budget that Governor Brown is going around tweeting and riding on her high horse around the state of Oregon and all over social media. We balanced the budget. We are doing so great with my leadership. This will put a $550 million gap in the budget. And you know what? Please, Jesus, dear Heavenly Father, please let this pass. I ask you this in your most holy and precious name. Amen. Because maybe this is the awakening that the legislature will need, the governor will need, to just tighten government's belt more. We don't need more taxes. We don't need these backdoor sales tax on our health care. I mean, if they could, they would tax us tying our shoes. I really think they would. I honestly think they would. Yeah, so, and that leads me into, this healthcare tax leads me into House Bill 3391, which is essentially a gift card for abortions. If you want to get from rattlesnakes, babies killed, up to illegal immigrants, come to the state of Oregon. The governor signed House Bill 3391 the second it hit the door. I'm sure she was waiting at the door to sign that bill. We're going to have to take a break right here, and you're listening to Common Sense Radio with AJ Davis on the Lanterns Radio Network.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Welcome back to the program, folks. You're listening to Common Sense Radio with AJ Davis on the Lanterns Radio Network, and we are here to fix the machine. I am having so much fun tonight. So I just wanted to continue a little bit more on House Bill 3391, which is the gift card for abortions. I am guessing that every Kermit Gosnell in the state of Oregon is just licking their chops, and every abortion provider in states like Texas and other conservative states are packing their bags to get over to Oregon, because we're not only are we a sanctuary state for illegal aliens, but we're a sanctuary state for what is federally illegal but taxpayer paying abortions. Come on down. Like I said, from rattlesnakes to illegal immigrants, the Democrats in the state legislature have no respect for life. They're okay with it. They're okay with killing babies. Governor Brown is okay with killing babies. But she was sure all over Twitter with Senate Bill 558 and House Bill 2726, which is what they've been praising and loved. It's hashtag #CoverAllKids, which it is a bill that was designed publicly. What they're saying is to help with the Oregon Health Plan. So 350,000 kids are not kicked off the Oregon Health Plan. That's what they're saying. But what the advocates that were pushing this bill are saying is thank you, regardless of immigration status, to the organizers of this campaign and Governor Brown for getting this bill passed. Governor Brown tweeted out, thanks to bipartisan collaboration and stakeholder support, families will know that their children will have access to quality health care. And the one that will make you think, this is something that, watch what the right hand's doing, but the left hand is going right around your back. She tweets out on July 7th, 2017, I'm proud the House helped fulfill our duty to ensure all Oregon's children have access to health care by passing hashtag #CoverAllKids today. Yeah. Rewind. Fulfill our duty to ensure all Oregon's children have access to health care. Can you tell me what page of the Oregon Constitution and the United States Constitution that says our duty to ensure all children have access to health care? And don't get me wrong, I do not want to see any kids sick, but is it government's duty to ensure that all children have health insurance? I don't think so. Sometimes there's families that need it. I totally get that. Some people really need it. But we are living in a culture of I want everything free. I want it for me. And political divisiveness. The politicians are dividing us. So this hashtag #CoverAllKids is really just a bill that was pushing government to control every aspect. Because essentially, the Oregon Health Plan is just the Oregon's Medicaid. And Medicaid it only covers 75% of the kids that are on the Oregon Health Plan. So Oregon has to cover the other 25%. But with illegals, it covers 0% because Medicaid has to follow federal laws. And the federal law is you have to be a legal citizen in the United States to be covered by Medicaid, even 75%. So Oregon has to cover 100% of what these illegals will get. We're gonna I'm sorry folks, I'm so passionate about this, and it's just so sad and disheartening that we're gonna see it like Illinois, a 32% permanent sales tax or whatever tax. Hell, like I said, they'll tax us to tie our tennis shoes. It's gonna come. I know that because you cannot keep covering everything. You just can't keep tax and covering all these services, adding services, while you just can't do it. It doesn't make any logical sense. So I want to tie in an email that I got from Senator Jeff Merkley. And this deals with healthcare. Because one thing I never mentioned is I sign up for all, maybe I did mention, well, anyways, I'm going to say it again, is I sign up for emails from progressives, Republicans, as many voices that are out in the mainstream that I can. I read all of them, and one that really had me bothered because the Democrats were pushing the ACA. They were conservatives were saying this is just a Trojan horse to single payer. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. So let me just read you a little blurb from the email that Jeff Merkley said. And, quote, as I told CNN, single payer is the answer to how we make healthcare more fair, more affordable, and less confusing, end quote. Holy smokes. How old were you back in 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012 when the fight for healthcare, the appeals through the Supreme Court, how old were you? I was in my 20s, late 20s. And I do remember that far back whenever there was video that was uncovered. Well, it's not a Trojan horse. It's just right there. So the Affordable Care Act was always designed to fail because, as Bernie Sanders is out there pushing Medicaid for all, well, people are not paying attention. They're going, oh, it's Medicaid. You know, that's what my grandma and grandpa have, or my aunt or uncle who, you know, was disabled. Medicaid for all is single-payer, government-controlled health care. It is something that the most extreme people in the Democratic Party, and quite frankly, I assume most of the Republicans want as well. Ones like Jeff Flake, Senator John McCain, and Lindsey Graham. Lindsey definitely wants it. I bet you Lindsey Graham paints his toenails pink. I kid you not. And I might have a picture. of Lindsey Graham toenails painted pink. And I might tweet that out. So you want to check me out on Twitter at Oregon Redskin, and at Facebook at AJ Davis Podcast. And I'll put it on Facebook as well. But I do have a picture of Lindsey Graham's painted toenails. Republicans like them, extreme Democrats like Representative Keith Ellison, who was last week's Keyboard Warrior of the Week. And we will get to this week's Keyboard Warrior of the Week. So far, I'm going to give you a little poll of the two people in the lead is Governor Kate Brown and Senator Jeff Merkley, who says the health care of single payer will make it fair, more affordable, and less confusing. Okay. All right. Thanks, Jeff. It's the right, I wouldn't even say the right, the constitutionalist, the common sense American has been saying it for how long that politicians are pushing single payer. Look at little Charlie over in the UK. They have a single payer. They have a government-ran health care. And what's happening with Charlie? They're fighting like heck to get him out of there. But the ruling that came out this week, or no, it was last week, that they can't bring him over to the U.S. It's an absolute, it's a disaster. So this is just a theory for me. Jeff Merkley, guarantee has the cell phone number of Governor Kate Brown. Those two, I bet, are texting buddies. Hashtag Jeff and Kate texting. What? This, like I said, this is a theory. I would guess that what Jeff Merkley's going to do, because he has been rumored to be, I'm running for president. He hasn't said that, but a lot of people close to him and a lot of the mainstream media has. Senator Merkley, are you running for president? Is he talking with Kate Brown to see, let's get these bills passed because we can use Oregon as a model? Because Jeff Merkley used to be in the Oregon legislature. He was a speaker, for goodness sakes. He wants to use it. See, this is Oregon has, which is almost a single payer system there. We're covering rattlesnakes, abortions. We're covering cover all kids. I mean, look at it. We have to be more. We have to bring Oregon's plan to the United States, and the only way to do that is through single payer. So we can make it less confusing, more fair. What the heck does that even mean? More fair. Whenever I got out of the Navy, I wasn't an advocate then, and I wouldn't be an advocate now for health care for all. I didn't have health care for, I would say, I got out of the Navy in October 2008, and I didn't get my current job till July 2009. I didn't have health insurance, but if this was the Affordable Care Act was full effect, I would have had a fee. I would have had to pay. I would have been forced to get on health insurance to comply. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord, that it was not. But some people don't need anything except for maybe a major medical. My mother-in-law and father-in-law pushed us to get a major medical in that time in case something happened, so we didn't go bankrupt. Thank you again to Jesus. Nothing did go wrong for us, and we were healthy and we didn't have any issues. But I use but a lot because it's scary. It's scary right now whenever you are forced by a congressional bill to carry health insurance when you never use it, never need it, because you're a healthy individual. The millennials tend not to want it. I mean, we didn't want it. We were in our early 20s, our mid-20s, my wife and I, and we had an older child. Well, she got pregnant, and I was looking for a job. We wanted a job with great health insurance and great benefits, and that's what I got. I worked my tail off to move up the ladder, and I have 3 kids now. I need health insurance. If I was 25 and I had 3 kids, I'd need health insurance. Families need health insurance. But if you're single or it's just you and your spouse, why should you be forced to buy health insurance if you don't want to? It's an individual choice. Where I'll tie that into Senate Bill 719, which is the anti-Second Amendment bill of Oregon. And essentially this bill, what it does is scare the underpants off of every American gun-loving, Second Amendment supporting individual in the United States. Not only in Oregon, in the United States. What Senate Bill 719A does is it gives the courts and the police the right to come into your house if there has been a report from a family member, a friend, or an officer about a situation where they think you're either suicidal or not safe with a weapon. So they will take your weapons away from you, and you won't get them back until you go in front of a judge, and you get it taken away on a Friday, and you're at your house, someone breaks into your house, your weapons are taken away, and you're killed. Over a family member that was mad at you or that was vindictive and went to the police and made up a story. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it could. I mean, you tell me Do you know any family members or friends that are vindictive and would do that? Oh, no. Not at all, right? Not at all. Bull honky. So that's something I'm really keeping an eye on here in the trenches of progressive utopia, as I like to call it, here in the state of Oregon. But that's a bill that, since it's signed by the governor, it's scary. It's very scary. And you need to be watching your legislature in your state for if they try to get bills like this passed as well. It is something that is anti-constitutional. It's frightening, downright frightening. And what's going to happen when the first family member makes that complaint, or friend, or police officer takes that weapon because of this bill, and that individual gets killed, gets severely injured because of someone breaking into their house, attacking them, any kind of circumstance that arises, and they didn't have their weapon to defend themselves. There's going to be a lot of people that are not going to be able to sleep at night. I know it would be me. I wouldn't be able to sleep if that happened to me, and I wasn't able to defend myself, or my friend or a family member wasn't able to defend themselves because of this anti-constitutional law. Governor Brown, that is why you are this week's Keyboard Warrior of the Week. And I will tweet out, I have a cool little, social media trophy to tweet at her, and check me out. And I'll put it on Facebook as well. Check me out at Oregon Redskin and at AJ Davis Podcast on Facebook. But from the abortion bill to the gun bill to giving the legislature an A+, she has been all over social media. Just check her Facebook page, check Twitter, and I'll screenshot and tweet out some of these pictures of her social media, which just makes your jaw drop. I mean, it will absolutely make your jaw drop what she has been like that, and that's the whole reason why I give out the Keyboard Warrior of the Week. It's for this. It needs to be done, and someone has to do it. Okay, folks, thanks again so much for tuning in. I know you could be doing something else, whether it's Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern, that you tune in, or it's Friday on your way home from a long week. I really appreciate you listening to me on the Lanterns Radio Network. My new time is Mondays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and you're listening to Common Sense Radio on the Lanterns Radio Network, where we are here to fix the machine. Good night, and see you next week.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.